BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports, contest events with first to market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting prompts and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV 50, to receive 50% off your welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts. Guys, welcome on into another episode of Bar Talk with me, your bartender and host this evening, Jenna Dettleston. And you guys are going to be hanging out with me for the next hour, maybe a little bit longer. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Happy Thursday, happy Friday, happy Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it is that you are listening to this. I hope you are having the best day ever. And remember, if your day isn't going the way that you want it to go, you and only you have the power to turn it around and make it absolutely extraordinary. So ask yourself, what kind of day do you want to have today? And go out there and have that day. But guys, also remember, if today is one of those days where you're just happy that you got out of bed and did the minimum, that's amazing too, and give yourself some huge credit for that. Okay, guys, episode 106. Thank you as always for listening, for tuning on in, for sharing. It truly means more to me than I could ever put into words. And even as someone who tries to put thoughts into words for a living, sometimes I still feel like I fall short. So just know, guys, from the bottom of my heart, how absolutely grateful I am for all of you. So today we are having on one of my dearest friends on Bar Talk, and that is Annie Costabile. Annie is a multimedia journalist for the Chicago Sun-Times, covering the Chicago Sky, the Red Stars. She has also been covering the Bulls this season as well. She is the host of the podcast Equal Play, where she aims to highlight the brightest women in sports from the field to the front office. I met Annie a few years back. I honestly don't even remember the event. It was, I think at the time, like when I was kind of freelancing, I was always just kind of jumping around to different events and meeting people. And I had met Annie at one of those. And I just remember feeling instantly drawn to her. And it was her energy, but it was her kind, fierce, fiery passion, I think, that I have so admired about Annie. Just getting to know her throughout the years, seeing some of the things that she has done. And I always knew I wanted to have Annie on Bar Talk. It was always just a matter of time. So today, guys, I finally got to have her on. I'm so thrilled. I'm so excited that you guys are here to listen. We discuss so much. Honestly, when you get two people who can conversate for a very long time, like Annie and myself, it's one of those things where I really hope you guys feel like you're a part of this conversation as well. But we just couldn't stop talking in like the best way possible, but we still tried to keep it in a timely manner for you guys. So we discuss a multitude of things, just a little bit about Annie and her career. We talk about, just, I think the pivot in sports, but what I also love about Annie too is her pushback on even some of the things that I believe in, and just being able to see her point of view. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. A little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like just we really have a little bit of like opposite end points of view, but in like a very respectful way. And I think you guys are going to really appreciate that. One of the things that I know I took away from this conversation, I hope you do as well, it's the importance of showing up. And I'm just going to say that, and I'm going to let you guys listen on in to figure out what it is that I mean by that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on into this conversation with Annie. Before we do that, I have a few quick announcements I want to make. Okay, first off, if this is your first time listening to Bar Talk, guys, welcome on into the bar. I love having you here. If you are a returning regular of mine, guys, welcome on back. So very grateful for anyone who is new or anyone who is a returning customer of mine. Thank you, guys. I would love it if you would hit the follow button wherever you are getting your podcasts from. Follow leave 5 stars, leave a little review. It takes 30 seconds out of your day, guys, and it would seriously mean the absolute world to me. Honestly, you can do it right now as we're talking, and it would seriously put the biggest smile on my face. For any of my YouTube people, hi guys, so good to see you. Make sure that you are subscribed to Bar Talk's YouTube page. Leave a thumbs up on this video. You can even leave a little comment as well. If you're not completely sick of hearing from me yet, I would love it if you would follow us along. It is at Bar Talk with Jenna across the board. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And then I ask that you stay until after my conversation with Annie for a fun little segment I like to call Here's a Tip for You, little piece of advice that I think is going to help you throughout the rest of your day. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get on in to my conversation with Annie Costabile. Enjoy. Okay, so God, she smells so good.
She does smell good.
And then we always like to do a little orange peel zest. You don't have to, but
I love an orange.
I'm a big believer in like you drink with your eyes first. And like, do you just like smell the citrus of the orange? Oh my God. Just do a little squirt for you, my love.
Thank you, my dear.
Give me a little guy. But yeah, this is one of, I think there are certain drinks I think everyone should like have in their back pocket. You know, I always think like an old fashioned is like one of those drinks that everyone should have in their back pocket for any occasion. If you really want to get fancy and you like an old fashioned, but I get it sometimes during, summer months, you don't want whiskey.
Yeah.
I know it's clearly not summer, as you can tell from my decor. If you're watching this, we like Christmas here. But cheers, darling.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Ooh. That is so good.
Yeah. It still has the bite, which I like.
Right.
But it's not a burn bite.
Yeah.
It's a smooth bite.
It's like tastier.
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Okay. Annie, I am so excited to have you on. And we've obviously known each other for a while, just from the Chicago sports world. And I was trying to figure out how I even wanted to like start talking to you. And I'm like, I don't really feel like there's any need to like ease into this conversation because of how you and I know each other.
Right.
So I guess I'm just going to
the
like.
beauty of friendship.
The beauty
when you get to interview a friend, it's like, there's no introduction needed. Let's just have a conversation.
Let's just go into it. But I guess my first question to you is, this was, I think, one of the things that I was so drawn to you is you are so passionate. You are, and I say that not in a negative way. I say that in such a positive manner. Like you just have such a like fiery passion to you, and it's so beautiful. And I think that's what draws so many people to you. So I have to know, like, where does that come from?
Oh my gosh, this is making me laugh because I just had this conversation with my mom, and she was we were talking about. I went to see the doctor. We were having a conversation after I had this doctor's appointment, and my doctor basically advised me like I need to chill out a bit, like I need to have less stress in my life for various reasons. And so I called my mom, and I'm like, Ma, what does she mean? Like, how am I supposed to just be less intense, be less stressed, like be at less all of these things that I've felt like I've been my entire life?
Right.
And my mom she takes this huge pause, and she's just like, well, gosh, I feel a little responsible because your whole life you've been this very intense person, and we all just thought it was cute. We all just thought it was how you are and a great characteristic of yours. Mm-hmm. And now, you're getting this advice, and, I don't really know what to say because it's just how you are. You've just always been a little high strung, intense, dramatic, I guess. Yeah. I've been called my entire life. So I don't know when exactly I became this way. I just remember from the time I was really little feeling things at such a strong level that I didn't know how to temper the way I expressed myself.
Like feeling emotions at a really heightened level.
Yeah.
Almost. Okay.
So it was like when I think something, when I feel something, when I want to say something, I'm saying it at 100 or not at all.
Yeah.
And so even like the last couple of years, I've had to take a step back in certain situations because if I don't have my thoughts all together, I realize how I can come across, and I, have had to learn how to kind of temper, I guess, that intensity a little bit. But I've just been that way my whole life.
I love it.
And it's hard sometimes, and people don't understand it sometimes, so it's hard.
No, but I think there was a beautiful, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan.
Wait, oh my God. I have to say this for a
Yes,
second. So
yes.
Taylor Swift in college, actually in high school too, Taylor Swift was like
God.
She
was our God, which is why we were all breaking Ticketmaster's website trying to get tickets today.
But wait, here's the thing. Then when some of those like lies got exposed of her on that call with Kanye saying like, oh yeah, you could use the term bitch in your song, and then it comes out and she's like, I didn't approve this, whatever. I'm like, wait, Taylor, are you a mean girl? Are you kind of like devious? Are you lying
so there was
to the
something
masses?
that,
and I went cold turkey, and I was like, I can't fuck with this version of Taylor.
okay, I did too, but then there was apparently something that came out that said that entire recording was fabricated, and it's not true.
I don't even know.
I don't know what to believe. I do too.
I don't even know if that's relevant, but I just had to say it to you.
That's totally fine. She brought up something about how in her Miss Americana Netflix special, how she is trying to unlearn these things that like men have like said to women is like a bad quality of them. I'm trying to unteach my brain how to do it. And I feel like, you know, for you, I want you to always know like your passion is like, I think the best thing about you, because it's what totally sets you apart from everyone else. And I think that that passion that you have, that just like that love, that like burning desire to like call people out on their shit when they need to be called out is not something that everyone can do. And I think it's what's set you apart in your career in so many fucking ways. Because I think of, I don't even remember, I had to have seen you like right after this happened. You were covering your team, the Sky, and it had to have been, was it when they had their playoff run last year? I can't remember exactly the date, but there was no one there. There was no media there. This is my favorite. No. Oh, this is the best. It's the best thing because you tweeted something along the lines of, and I'm going to like quote tweet it in a sense where you basically were like, where the fuck is everyone? Without saying where the fuck is everyone. And then what happened the next day?
A lot of people showed up. But that was one of the moments where I'm like, maybe I should skip a beat before acting or reacting to something so instantly.
Right.
Because after this happened after it was the last regular season game of the year. Right. And this guy had already clinched their spot in the playoffs. You know, the storylines are set. Candace Parker's back. She's about to play in her first playoff run with her hometown team. Right. And the Sky were playing the Indiana Fever, which in the Indiana Fever have been on a come up forever. You know, they haven't been a premier team in a long time. Okay. So I guess if you're in you know, newsrooms in the city and you're like, if we're going to skip something, you know, I could see how the average Joe is like, crosses that off the list first. Right. But I was shocked because if the Bulls, you know, the Bulls have been an average team for how long, right? Yeah. And everybody continues to show up to cover them. And so I was like, what the fuck are we doing? This is a team that's on the brink of something very special, which at that point they were finishing the regular season 500. So no one knew necessarily that they were going to go on to win the championship. To do what they did. Right. But still, they're on the brink of this playoff run and no one's here. The only reason that could make sense in those newsrooms is because of sexism. Right. Because if any other team was about to begin a playoff run, you'd be at their last regular season game of the year. Yeah. You'd be there without question. And so I tweeted that, and WNBA Twitter is like a firestorm. It blew up. WNBA Twitter is great. Some of the most loyal readers, followers, fans I've ever come across in the sports world. That's amazing. And it blew up, and I was so embarrassed because I just thought I wasn't trying to disrespect any of my colleagues in the city or what they're doing, or I just wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't trying to disrespect anyone, but at the same time, I was like, y'all are disrespecting this team by not being here. Yeah. And I have the luxury of being there every day. That's my job. I'm so thankful for my job that I get to cover that team every single day. But I was like, no, none of your, no excuse. I don't care that they're playing the Indiana Fever. No. Where is everybody?
Yeah. I think and I hope you can like remember this too. It's like, sometimes you need to call people out. Sometimes you need to like, it's not pretty. And obviously there's always that fear of like, like, what did I say? You know, like, oh my God, is it going to come back and like backfire me? You know, like you don't want it to be taken the wrong way. But sometimes, and this is what I'm kind of going to get into in the next, is like people don't even realize that what they're doing is wrong. They don't even realize that their lack of actions are actually having a huge impact on an organization, on a movement, on growing the game. And with you, you know, like I love how you've like kind of taken this role and you're like, it's mine and I'm just gonna just like fucking run with it and just like grow it and be so passionate about it but do it in a very like integral journalistic way, but still having like so much of that like young Annie Costabile, you know, like fire and passion to you. And it's not something that like a lot of people can do. And just with you, I think of women's sports like always. And you're obviously way more in it than, you know, like I am, or just I think a lot of people in general. And I guess what I'm trying to learn, and it's something that I'm continuing to try to educate myself on, is like, this is like a 2-part question. Like from a media point of view, what can be done to elevate it? And from a consumer point of view, what can be done to elevate it?
You know, I think what I always think about when, you know, these questions get asked to me is how often I'm brought on someone's show to talk about the lack of women's coverage. When I'm like, wait, you're a journalist. You can make. You can show up. Right. And I'm not saying that as like,
I know.
Pointing the finger at you or anything, but I've been brought on so many segments to talk about Title IX and the lack of women's coverage. And I'm like, wait, I'm sitting here in your studio. I haven't seen you at a single Sky practice. Right. That's the answer. And it's just showing up. It's just telling the stories. Like we have to get away from women as different, or women as in women's sports as, and I just had this conversation with Jess Robertson. She's a co-founder of Together with, you know, 4 of the world's greatest athletes. And something she brought up is, we have to get away from women's sports being secondary or this feature story.
We have to change the vocabulary.
100%. Yeah. So it's like, instead of asking what can be done, I think we need to ask ourselves, what can we do? Right. Why are we covering women's sports different? Why are we not showing up the same way we show up to cover the Bears, to cover the Sox, to cover the Cubs, the Blackhawks, and on and on and on? Right. You know, because the simple fact of the matter is the Red Stars in the Sky are professional sports teams. Right. If you're showing up to cover the Fire and the Bulls this way, then you should be showing up to cover the female counterpart the same way. Or you're sexist, or you're exposing your sexism. That's just, it's as simple as that. And I think as far as consumers go, what's really impactful is social media for 2 reasons. You know, athletes are taking control of their brands, but consumers are also able to vocalize in a different way what they want to see. And I think social media has done an incredible job for women in sports, because this whole narrative that there's no interest can't fester anymore, because
it's a lie.
People are like, wait, shut the fuck up, Bob. I care. I care about this. So get out of here with that narrative. And so I think what's important as far as, you know, my job goes is consumers reaching out to outlets, you know, editors, everyone, these outlets at email addresses, contact information is public. You might have to do a little digging, but you can find it. And so if you're a consumer and something you want to see, read, hear about isn't there, write the publication that you subscribe to, write your local news station and request it. You are who they are they are working for.
Yeah.
You hold the power.
It's that, what is it called? It's like we are all, like, our job is like we live in an active service, right? Like we are in service of giving, telling the story, giving it to people, making sure that they can get it. And a lot of times what even what I found just with like the podcast, which is obviously different in the sense of just like, working for like a really established like print oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for? Print media. That's not the word, but we can go with it. Is like I have people that I have to answer to, but I have a direct conversation with my consumers, which is awesome, right? It's a little intimidating at times, but it's awesome. And I love asking them, like, what do you guys want to hear? What do you want? What drinks do you want me to make this week? What conversations do you want me to have? Like, I'm not promising you I can get you, like the
Paul
cream.
Canerico.
Paul Canerico.
Yes, she can. Yes, she can.
After months of work, but like, it takes time. But I don't know. I don't even know where the fuck I'm going with this, to be honest. I completely lost my train of thought. But it's so interesting now because even from, I think about me as a kid and like my sport growing up. Like I was always a baseball fan growing up in the shadows of Sox Park. Like it was inevitable, right? But I'm a volleyball player, so like that was my sport, that was my love, and it was why I love the Olympics, because every 4 years it was like, Dad, you get the remote 365 other days of the year. It's my time now. Don't you dare turn off this game. And what's become so beautiful about it is my dad played volleyball too, and we watch it now. Like we'll actually like turn off other sports to watch volleyball because it's so. I think it's so competitive. I think it's so compassionately graceful, which sounds weird, but
that's a beautiful description.
Yeah, and now there was like ESPN just signed some deals with the Athlete Unlimited where they're going to be, and I'm like, God, this is like amazing. And you see all these Big Ten games getting like sold out, like insane numbers, and it's just like constantly growing, and we're constantly going there, and it's just like, yes, ladies, let's go. So again, like they're hearing the consumers, which is great. Being in the media side of it, being on the side now where, my job has changed since I've started this podcast a year ago, I get to see some of what goes on behind the curtain. You get to see a little bit of the Oz and a little bit of like what sells and what doesn't sell. And it's so interesting because obviously right now the biggest thing is, and it's like you don't want to admit it, but it's the truth. It's like football is God. Yeah. Like football is still God. There was a stat that came out the other day that last year, out of the 100 most watched television programs, 73 of them were football based.
Right, but I think we need to start thinking about why that is.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, why is that the narrative, and why do we feel this need to stick to it? Is there a way to include more into this narrative?
Well, so football has been played for I don't know how long, but football was one of the first sports that was played collegiately, like when college was only an option for men. Like all of these reasons, so like football being the top sport is not necessarily because it's like this brilliant sport that is the greatest sport that ever was.
It's marketed
the sport
incredibly.
That's been invested in, that's been marketed, that's been sold to America to the point that we are all conditioned to love football.
Right.
So when people talk about the NBA and, well, the WNBA doesn't make money and blah, 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 it's like, whoa, hold on. How has the WNBA versus the NBA been invested in differently? And another big aspect of that is how long has the WNBA been in existence? It's only 26 seasons.
It's still
going
very
on to
young.
The 27th. Exactly.
Yeah.
But we can't clutch on to the youth of the WNBA or the youth of the NWSL as a reason why they're still not viewed as highly, or the viewership isn't where it's at, or the ticket sales aren't where the NBAs are at, because the investment needs to match the interest, and the interest is there. Yeah. So I think that, actually, I'm just going to say it. I don't love football. I grew up and I thought, actually, I want to get into this. So I grew up and my internalized misogyny had me believing if I was going to be a successful sports journalist, I had to cover men's sports. I remember when I decided I wanted to be a sports journalist, and I thought I was going to be on ESPN doing sideline for NBA games. Like that was the dream that I first dreamt. And when I got to the University of Iowa, that conditioned idea that men's sports are better than women's still existed. And I prioritized covering Hawkeye basketball, the men's team, over the women's team. And it wasn't until I graduated from Iowa that I was like, hold on a minute. Like, why am I trying so hard to do something that a zillion other people are already doing when this entire world is not being valued the same way, and it's your world. Like, this is your world, and you yourself aren't valuing this world the same way as you're trying to value men's sports. Like, I had this break and this disconnect, and it just changed my entire life. But I bring that up because it's something that everyone, I think, needs to start thinking about more, is our conditioning to believe that men's sports are the standard, and then women's are just trying to live up to that standard. No, women's sports are on an entire different level than men's, and they need to be invested in the same way, and they need to be valued the same way, and they need to be, cultivated the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I just went on a tangent and made no sense at all, but I just think a lot of that, the reason that football is God in our country is because of everything that's gone in to make it God.
Yeah.
And if we put the same effort into selling everybody on tequila old fashions, we'd all stop drinking regular old fashions. Like, anything you put that much effort into making great is gonna fucking be great.
Right.
I just saw a tweet the other day, and sorry, I'm still going on this tangent, but I saw a tweet the other day about fans were asked why they've watched the WNBA and women's sports more this year, and their reasons were fucking the simplest reasons ever: because it was broadcast more, because it was available more, because it was like all these things. And I just thought about, let's not even apply this to women's sports, but just in the world.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is, if we give people opportunities to succeed, they will? No fucking shit, Sherlock. Like, no fucking shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, football is successful, blah, blah, blah. We all know it. But what else could be successful if it was treated the same way the NFL is treated?
Yeah. I love that you brought, I love, again, this passion, this fire. This is what I love. Do you know who, God, I can't even think of her name. There's this girl named Danielle who does a podcast called Pretty Smart. And she just had on Jamel Hill, maybe like a month ago. And she said to Jamel something that I thought was so fascinating. And it was like, out of the top 10 most followed people on Instagram, all 10 of them are women. And I was like, huh. Out of the top 10 most followed athletes on Instagram, they're all men. And it was like, so what does that show us? Where is that disconnect happening? And she brought up a really good point of how we are okay seeing women be performers, but we're maybe not okay with seeing women use their bodies physically to compete and perform yet. And that's something that, again, that like a little bit of that like misogyny that's kind of been seeped into our brains, that unlearning of what we've been told as like wee kids is like, we need to unlearn that it is beautiful to see a woman use her body to compete, to perform, to be a badass motherfucker.
100%.
And, even now, like, I know there's so many takes on this, like NIL that's happening, right? The name, image, and likeness, for anyone who's listening and doesn't know what that means. And the number one person who is a name, image, and likeness athlete is a female gymnast from LSU. And her name is, I wrote it down somewhere, Olivia Dunn. And she makes over $1 million a year. So it's one of those things that I think about it and I'm like, well, they're like, yes, there's so many factors into like why you like someone or follow them. But you talk about a gymnast using her body to compete and perform and do the most like unimaginable fucking things on the planet. Like it's probably the reason why gymnasts, you know, just gymnastics in general is the number one probably viewed sport during the Olympics. I don't know if that's a true fact, but like I have to believe that it's got to be up there, right? So I feel like we're seeing these really, they have to start out as small because they have to be sustainable. But we're seeing these small pivots, these small 1-degree turns that I think are going to get us to where we want to see with all of our women competing, where they're just competing. It's not women competing. It's just, they're just competing. So there's no question there, but it's just we're seeing the change. We're seeing the evolution. And I really think what's been, you know, say what you want about the name, image, likeness side, but like you're actually seeing who these brands, these companies want to put their money behind. And obviously like,
so but that brings up such a good point. Cause it's like what that needs to translate to the professional level.
And I think because again, it's like things take slow progress. So name, image, and likeness has been around for what, 2 seasons? Okay. So it's like, what happens when eventually those kids graduate and they're done? Where's that money going to go?
Right.
Are they going to follow them to the W? Are they going to follow them to Athletes Unlimited, whether it's in volleyball or softball? Like, where is it going to go? Because these brands are putting in millions of dollars into some of these people. Obviously, she's the top of the top, but they're putting this money into these people because they see the return on investment from a business standpoint. 100%. You understand that. So again, it's like, I think it's like the tide is turning, it's coming. It's just like we inevitably need to be like persistent, patient, and like the annoying wheel that needs the oil.
I agree with you, except that patience is not my job. I will not be patient. Like it is not my job to sit around and wait for everybody else to understand the value in covering women's sports. Like the time is now. It's 2022. It's about to be 2023. I'm 32 years old. I grew up being told you're going to be treated the same way as your brothers, blah, 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 because the feminist movement said so. And now we're beyond it. And I'm living in a world that is far from that fucking reality. Yeah. And so like everybody else could be patient, but I can contribute to actually closing that gap. So patience, not part of like my DNA right now.
Yeah. I think when I say patience, what I mean is from a business standpoint of getting the money in. Oh, yeah. Because a lot of times those things you can't be like, hey, I need a check for $10 million. And it's like, okay, that's great. But like, give me the facts, show me the numbers, you know, like, and I think, you know, like the WNBA has grown faster than any other sport. Like I don't know the fact off the top of my head, but I want to say it's like it's on a trajectory where it has grown somewhere in like 40% every year. It just continues to grow. So it's like if you're a business, it's like, yo, my guys, do you see that growth?
What are you waiting for? But that's why I'm saying, what are we supposed to be patient about? Like the numbers are there. Yeah. Where is the investment? And so I think it's a vicious cycle. And again, not to continue to plug my own podcast. No, but I just talked about this with Jess Robertson and you know, again, you talked about the return on investment, and these businesses want to see their return on investment. And so if they look at a league like the WNBA and it's not being covered the same way as the NBA, they're going to question that. It's just an immediate question mark that gets brought up when you're, because again,
of how it's not being covered, of the coverage, the lack of coverage, you mean?
The lack of coverage, the fans not in seats, but we're not acknowledging how everything plays a role in all of those factors.
Right,
so it's just, again, like I said, I'm not going to be patient because I think it's my job as a journalist to do my job. Like, for example, I'm covering the Bulls a little bit this off season. Right. I'm not like a cheerleader for the WNBA. I'm just here to say this is how I do it for the Bulls. This is how I'm going to do it for the Sky too. Like, and of course, as a woman, you know, it maybe comes off a little personal at times because the WNBA is reflective of your own fight.
Well, it's hard not to be. You know, like it's hard for it not to be a little personal, and I think we would be fools to say it's not. You know, and I also don't think there's anything wrong with it being a little personal.
No, I don't think so either. I just think sometimes, like old school people in the business will be like, you know, have this idea that you can't advocate for coverage. I've heard that a lot in my career. We don't advocate for coverage. I'm not advocating for coverage. I'm advocating for equality.
Yeah.
And you telling me not to advocate for coverage points to you contributing to a lack of equality in our coverage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
think on that,
Yeah.
Bob. Bob is a fictional character.
Bob is
who I call like the problematic, misogynistic people in my life. And so I'm sorry to all the Bobs out there. I'm sure you're great.
Bobs are great.
But it's just because Bob, you could throw out there so emphatically, like, Bob.
Well, I also feel like whenever I use Bob and it's like, well, and back to you, Bob in studio, you piece of shit. Like, that's how I think of Bob.
I just like it because Bob is like a name that you could be like so condescending when you say
Oh, absolutely.
Like, Bob.
Absolutely.
Fuck you, Bob.
Bob.
Yeah.
For any
Sorry,
Bob, for any Bobs listening, we
don't hate you.
We don't hate you.
No.
So I had said to you, I got this new job. We've been at Believe now for 8 months, and I get to see a lot of what goes on behind the curtain, which is a really cool. It's a cool vantage point to be in because as much as I love this side of it, the like being in front of the camera and doing all this, I crave the behind the scenes, like the behind the scenes and like. It's kind of like how you make the meat, how the meat's made. Like that's the part that I really thoroughly enjoy. Like I think more than I thought I would. And when I came, like, so I just looked at our numbers on Apple, like our Apple podcast numbers, and one of our shows has made it in the top 5 of baseball coverage. It's our Believe in Houston, Believe in Astros show, which is like fucking incredible. You know, it's like that's amazing. Like we're beating people that are like.
Can we clap?
Yeah, like good for Believe. Like Jeff Blum, you were with the White Sox. It's okay you're with Houston now. I'm okay with it. But like I want to say last time I checked, they were number 4. Like they beat like Barstool starting 9. I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is awesome, you know? So then my brain is like, I'm not an analytical person, but then I can put that cap on and I'm like, okay, let's go and look at it. So then I go and look at our top shows for Believe in Apple. And do you want to take a guess? If you guess this, I will literally.
Oh my God, I'm a terrible guesser, but let's go.
Our top 3, the third most listened to Believe show on Apple. Take a guess what it is.
Yours?
No, I wish. Maybe we'll get there. We're not there yet.
I have no idea.
Believe in figure skating.
Oh my God.
Okay, when I saw those numbers for the first time, I was like, figure skating? You gotta be shitting me, man. Like, I felt like Matthew McConaughey. I was like, you gotta be shitting me, man. Like, like what? And so then I am like, okay, Jenna, let's not look at the surface level. Let's not be in it. Let's weigh, you know, Eagles' point of eye view. Why is this one of the most listened to shows that we have on our network? And then I say, well, where can you get figure skating coverage?
Exactly.
And that's like
exactly what I thought of when you said that.
And that's the light bulb, like ding. And I'm like, oh my God, like these people are just, they want it. They're craving it. And I even think of like when I played volleyball, obviously that was like a decade ago now. But it's so like I get so happy seeing how much volleyball has grown in the last 10 years. Like it makes me so happy to think that like maybe I had a small part in that and playing and like showing up to all those tournaments and like doing all those little things. And you know, the fact that there's coverage now not only on Big Ten Network, but like now what's going on ESPN and they're just it's just constantly growing. And so again, it's like you give people an opportunity, you give them this platform. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love Believe is like they let people have a platform to have different shows that maybe you wouldn't have on a ESPN, like you know, a beat maybe you wouldn't be able to cover in print because, you know, back in the day it was like you had so many, you know, spots that you had to fill. But I'm like, oh my God, we're talking about figure skating. It's it's one of our most listened to shows, which means there is this entire community of people that are just like
dying for this coverage.
They want more,
right?
Like just give me more.
Exactly.
And even like our soccer, like some of our soccer shows too, you know, like we're coming up on the World Cup's happening in like 2 weeks, I think. Our soccer shows are like, again, some of our most like watched on YouTube. And I'm like, again, I didn't grow up a soccer fan. I just didn't, you know? but that doesn't mean they're not out there.
Yeah.
I don't have to be the audience, but like there is a pocket of people that want it clearly, just like there is a pocket of people who want to follow women's soccer and who are so passionate about it, you know? So it's like it's like maybe part of me is a little bit like, we need to be patient because I've seen like how long this journey has taken me to go, and that like nothing happens like overnight, you know? But again, it's like,
Patience is a virtue. I'm not trying to say patience isn't important.
But it's like
valuable.
I see where the ship's going.
Yeah.
I feel like for the very first time since doing everything, I'm like, okay, you guys are seeing it. Like there's people.
Right.
They're consumers. Those consumers can turn into dollars.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's the other part now that like as a podcaster, producer, host, it's like, okay, now I am like trying to tap into like, what is the business side of this? How can I better understand the business aspect of it? Because there is this business side to it as well, you know?
Yeah. And I think the business aspect of it is really important to understand, but I think something that needs to be thought about and considered more often is how women's sports is reflective of women in society.
Oh my God.
And these opportunities. So like, let's just look at women in sports.
Yeah.
Let's not even think about women in society.
Yeah.
When we think about, again, football as a sport, baseball as a sport, basketball as a sport, and the history of these sports, right? How long they've been being played.
Yeah.
And who's been playing them. Men.
Yeah.
Women weren't even allowed to play sports to the same standard, even a close standard, until our very recent history.
Yeah.
You know the history of Title IX. So we're asking women, or these haters out there are asking women to show up with the same numbers, the same interest, all of these things as their male counterparts, when their male counterparts don't have 10 steps ahead on them. They have not hundreds of years.
Yeah.
They have just miles and miles on them
Ahead of them, yeah.
And then on top of that, we're not thinking, oh, well, women playing basketball have been doing it for half the time that men have been doing it. Let's overcompensate. We're asking those women to prove to prove their worth, to prove what they're capable of in a way that we never asked men to.
Yeah.
The investment in men, and again, this is where it's a reflection of society, is there.
Yeah.
When men show up, the world listens. When women do, it's like, show us what you got, honey. Show us what you can do, and then maybe we'll pay attention.
It's that
like,
saying
fuck
of
that.
Men get promoted on potential, women get promoted because of they actually see the work that they've done.
Exactly.
Which is like, when I think about it, I'm like, fuck.
Exactly. And that's why it does get a little emotional, and it does get a little personal, because we've all felt that at some point in our lives, at some point in our careers. It's like we have to be twice as good with half the resources. And I'm a white woman saying that. It's even worse as we go down and talk about Black women in business and women of color in business. I'm privileged.
Yeah.
I am lucky, but we still are facing so many hurdles that our male counterparts are not, and we're being told that so much has changed. It's like,
It's smoke and mirrors.
Right. I'm sick of you guys selling us this image of how much has changed, and it's like, what's really changed?
Yeah.
You know? Which, again, is an ignorant thing to say, because a lot has changed.
No,
but I'm just saying, we're asking women to be twice as good with half the resources, and I'm a white woman saying that. So what are Black women saying? We need to be listening to all of these individuals who are having to work, again, twice as hard as their counterpart that's getting further and further ahead of them with doing half the work.
Yeah.
So...
God, it's fucking
Sorry,
crazy.
I'm getting too intense. I'm getting too dramatic.
Blame the tequila. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with the passion. And again, that's what I think. And I know that what you have, that what is innately ingrained in your DNA, in your soul, in your body, is what is going to help you like truly fucking move mountains for people.
I don't know about that.
I do. I fucking do. I hope I do, because you just. Again, it's so a part of who you are that you don't even realize that it's literally like your greatest fucking asset, because you're like, this is just who I am. But it is that desire, passion to call someone out when they need to, and to tell people like, this is why this needs to happen. Not everyone has that ability. Here's the thing is, I, as passionate as I am, I'm very much at times like I'm kind of like Switzerland, I feel like, in places.
Yeah.
Like I see both sides. I'm like, I get it and, or I get it but, you know, like I'm not someone, it's never been in my character to be like, you know, light the pitchfork, you know, like storming like that's, it's just not who, it's not in my nature. It's never been who I like innately am. But I understand the importance of like needing to speak up, obviously when you need to speak up, and knowing when to use your voice, because we all are put here for a reason. We all came to this planet for a fucking reason. Yeah. And we all have different gifts that we need to use to help society as a whole. And I just know if you, and this was like, you had said you don't know what your next dream is, because you're trying to figure out, because I remember the first time I met you, I was like, what's your dream? And you're like, I'm doing my dream. I'm working at the Sun Times. I was like, wow, that's fucking awesome. Like, you're scared to get a dream now. Yeah. And then there's that beautiful question of like, okay, well, what's next? And you have to dream bigger.
I know. I was having this conversation with a friend recently, and I was telling her a story about a friend I went to college with who was drafted by the Green Bay Packers and is still having a successful career in the NFL. And he used to, fresh out of college, when they'd be in town, we'd all go out. And it was just great to be these like young adults figuring life out. But I always felt like he was so far ahead of where me and my friends were, because we were like these broke girls fresh out of college working 3-4 jobs trying to make our dream happen. And here he was, his dream was already real. And I remember he said one time, you know, you guys are lucky. And I was like, shut up, we're lucky. Mr. fucking NFL, miss me with that. Yeah, okay, like, right. Miss me with that.
Like, sure.
And again, that was my dramatics coming out. And he was like, no, really, like, you guys are lucky because you're still making your dream come true. I'm here, and now I'm like trying to think about what's next. And I thought about that recently because I was 15 years old, and I don't even know why I thought this or said this out loud, because again, there got to be a time in my life when I thought if I was going to be successful in sports media, I had to be the Barbie doll on TV. And that became very real for me. I was like, okay, I'm going to make this happen, and I got to be this picture perfect.
Is that why you had blonde hair at one point?
Oh, yes. We could go. Let's get into that. But before that conditioning took hold in that form of me thinking I had to be on TV to be successful, I was on a field trip, and we were in the city, and we were crossing the bridges from, you know, like the West Loop into the Loop.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The old Sun Times building was north. And so if you were on those bridges, any one of those bridges, and you looked to your left, you would see the Sun Times logo, there on the building. I think it was Prudential Towers, I want to say. Yeah. Or the Prudential building. And I remember whoever I was with, I was like, I'm going to work there one day. And I had never like said that out loud. I had never said, I want to write for a newspaper. I want to write at all. I just, in like this cocky moment, spoke my dream out loud that I had been subconsciously thinking about, I guess. And so to make it to get this job, to go to Mississippi and then come back, it's truly like I don't take a single day of it for granted. And the hard days are really fucking hard. Yeah. Like really hard. But then I get to remind myself that I'm living my literal dream. Yeah. And the scary thing is to think, well, what do you do after that? Like what's after, you know, winning a WNBA championship? Like, I'm going to use that as an example. Right, you know, it's like, but there is something else. You know, as humans, we're constantly growing. We're constantly evolving. And if we're not, we rot. Stagnancy, exactly, you rot. And so that's the challenge now, is thinking, okay, how do I keep going? How do I keep finding inspiration? How do I keep trying to be a better version of myself? And part of that is constantly challenging my beliefs or beliefs that we're taught as little kids and conditioning that we're breaking from our childhood. It's like all the things that were sold. Let's keep thinking on them. Let's keep thinking how things can be different. Let's keep thinking how we can be different, how we can be better. Yeah. And so that's just, part of what's going on in my fucking brain.
Yeah.
I feel like a crazy person.
No, but I think it's like my dream with this was to get picked up and signed by a network. And it happened. And then it's like, and then it's like, now what?
Right.
But then I had to change
but you have to remind yourself, like, you did it. You did it. Yeah. Because, that high you get when you get the call, like, oh, yeah, we'd love to interview you for this job. And then you get the job and you're like, I did it. I'm here. Let's go. What's up? And then somehow, like, a week later, you're thinking, am I good enough? Am I still worthy of being here? Oh, yeah. Do I deserve this? And it's like, girl, stop and think. You're living your dream. You're doing what you wrote down you wanted to do.
No one's hiring you out of charity.
Right.
And yeah, like I'm kind of thinking of just Jamel Hill. She literally said that. She's like, no one picked me because they're like, here's this poor little black girl. We got to bring her around to ESPN. Like, no, Jamel Hill got to ESPN because she's incredible. Yeah. Like she worked her ass off. She networked probably and you make it happen and the right opportunity came. But I think for you, like one thing that I keep thinking of is like, I like to visualize things. And I always consider like, when I get ready to interview someone or if I find a topic fascinating or even like alcohol, right? Like I'm so fascinated by alcohol, just the process of making it and how it comes about. And I love falling down like Alice's rabbit hole on it. And I don't know where that rabbit hole is going to take me, right? And it's like, oh God, where are we going to go? What am I going to learn? And then you find out some crazy wild thing about just anything, and I think about that with jobs and opportunities. Like you walk through a door, you don't know how many doors are behind that door. Exactly. And how many doors, and again, like then you could get like really overwhelmed because it's like, what doors are behind that door and then that door. And like, you don't know where it's going to lead you. You don't know where it's going to take you. You don't know what kind of spark is going to be ignited inside of you when you go through something else. And like, even I said to you, like the business side of all of this has been something I didn't think I would. It wasn't something as a little girl I thought I could do because I never felt like I was smart enough to do.
Why didn't you think you were smart enough?
Because I was dyslexic and I just learned differently. Yeah. And so because of that, I got shamed into believing that like I was dumb. And I was not good
because
enough.
of a difference in you. Because we're taught we all got to be this way. We all got to look this way. We all got to act this way. And so the second there was one difference about you, instead of seeing your difference as your superpower, you were taught to believe you were less intelligent than the people around you because of it. Yeah, which isn't true.
Yeah, and I know now, having met other people who are dyslexic, one of them being Brett Sopel, who played with the Blackhawks, like it was like so amazing to talk to him because I was like, you probably saw plays happen before they happen, right? Because I know I did. As a volleyball player, I knew where the ball was going before it went there. And I swear to God, I think that was because of my dyslexic brain. I know when the way trends are happening before they happen. I can't explain it. I cannot fucking explain it. But I really think that this gift I have is what makes me stand apart when you've been shamed to believe it's not.
You should hide it.
And I hid it for so long because I was like, oh my God, this is not right. Like da 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 da. Like, you just again you fall down weird rabbit holes. But I don't know. I just think I don't know what's next for you, and I think the beauty is like, who knows? Like we'll figure. I'm happy that I get to fucking witness it. Because I think you've done so much. You've probably learned so fucking much in like just the short time you've been doing this job. I mean, yes, it might like on paper be a long time, but the reality is like you probably still got a lot more longer to go.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's something, again, we live in a world of instant gratification. And again, going back to like my tangent I went on about patience, there are times to have patience and there are times where it's like there are times to be quiet and there are times abso-fucking-lutely not to be quiet.
Correct.
And it's the same with patience. There are times to have grace and be kind to yourself. Absolutely, you should always be kind to yourself. But there are also times when, you you need to be aggressive, and you need to really go after what you believe in and go after what you want in your life. And when I think about patience, as far as the career path any human could ever be on, and mine specifically, in the early stages, I didn't have patience. I kept thinking like, oh, I'm failing because I'm not here at this age. I'm failing because I'm still working at a bar, when I'm seeing like girls I went to college with are, living in high-rise apartments in New York City. And
Right.
I'm like, why am I like, I'm really embarrassed that I'm not where you're at. And instead of seeing the beauty in my own journey, in my own path. And the thing that makes me think about is, if we pigeonhole ourselves to thinking we're only this or we're only that, or our dream could only be this or it could only be that, we're literally closing our eyes and having tunnel vision to all the opportunities that surround us. Like, it took me being told no and no and no and no and no again in broadcasting to finally be like, maybe I got to spin this. Like, maybe there's another lane I got to tap into. And this voice in my head, it was so weird, but this voice in my head kept, and I think it's the same voice that made me, when I was 15 years old, be like, I'm going to work there one day. But it was like, try writing. It just kept saying like, try writing. And I never thought I was smart enough to be a writer. I thought that was a man's game. I thought that was a white man's game. I was like, all the sports writers I ever saw were like these old white men.
Right.
And so I just didn't think that was even something I could be successful at. And I remember I was having this like crisis in my career. Crisis is such a, again,
but that don't discredit how you feel.
so dramatic, but
Yeah.
I felt like I was having a crisis. And I went to stay with my aunt in Florida, my Aunt Jen. And I remember while I was there, I told myself, I'm going to spend this next week and a half applying to any and every job. I'm going to not limit myself to broadcasting jobs. I know I only have a couple clips from freelance writing things I've done,
Right.
but I'm going to send them out. Fuck it. Let's go. Like, here's what I got.
See what comes.
Right. Let's see who's interested in hiring me.
Right.
And so I sent my resume out to, places all over the country, and again, broadcasting jobs, writing jobs. And I am not kidding you. I can still remember the moment. I was at the airport walking onto the airplane, and I looked down at my phone and checked my email, and I had an email from Hugh Kellenberger from the Clarion Ledger in Mississippi asking to interview me. And like, I get emotional even thinking about that, because I didn't think I could ever do that. I didn't think I could ever be a writer. And here I was, like, trying to change the course of my life. And this guy from Mississippi took a chance on me and was willing to even to speak with me. Even if he never hired me, like, getting that email was the door opening to all of my dreams coming true, my entire life continuing to unfold. And so my biggest takeaway from that, and again, going back to the patience thing, is like, just open your eyes to what else is out there. You might think that you're only capable of this, or you could only check this box, but what if you just give yourself a little bit more? What if you just turn one more page and think about something just slightly different? Like, what if you give yourself a little more benefit of the doubt? What else could you do? What else could you do? You might move to Mississippi. Like, and change your whole life. You just might.
I never wanted to do radio, which is really fucking ironic.
So ironic, because
Right?
you have a great voice for radio,
Yeah.
which is a compliment.
No, I
people
know.
wanna-
I love my voice, and I know that it is a huge compliment, but I wanted to do the broadcasting side of it. One, because I think I was probably fascinated by the, like, smoke and mirrors of the glitz and glam of television. Then you learn it's not fucking glitz and glam at all. It's a dogfight.
It's a lot.
It's a fucking dogfight. But I knew out of college I wasn't leaving. I was like, I'm not moving. I was like, I left. I had a really hard time being away. I had a lot of shit happen to me my freshman year that made me realize I needed to be home. Like I was like, I'm the best me when I'm with my support system, and I need those people. Like they're my oxygen,
which is so important for you to be able to recognize early on.
And I was like, so if that means that this takes a little longer, I got patience. I'll wait. And I remember I was getting my hair done, and I had like just posted a like updated reel. Like it was probably like fucking garbage, but I was like, whatever. And a family friend of mine saw it, and she was like, oh my God, like I have a friend who has a radio show, and he's looking for someone to like do his social media. And like, you could like, I don't know, like maybe be on the radio. Like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah. And it was the Frank Fontana show with WGN, and it was home improvement. Like I didn't know anything about home improvement. Like I didn't know anything about like home decor, design, or like I knew nothing. But I was like, I know that his show is right before the sports show, so I'm just gonna do it. And I remember having so much fun with it, and it was a door that I never would have opened had it not kind of been presented in a way. And now the irony is doing the podcast,
right?
Like, you know, it's so fucking ironic that like I don't know, like I feel like I did all these kind of weird, you do all these weird things, right? Like in your career, and you're like, why the fuck did I do that? Why? But then you're like, oh, I get it.
It was all leading me here.
It all leads you here, you know? And I feel like with the podcast, I get to do this best of like, there is the video side, because I love the video side. I'm a video consumer, but I also understand the power in your voice and like being able to speak your truth and having really just raw and honest conversations that I know for me, like that's what my soul craved, that I couldn't fit into a 2.5 minute fucking video
100%.
segment. I can't fit it in.
Right.
I can't. It's never gonna fucking happen.
It's never gonna fit into that little box, which points to how great video storytellers are when they can fit all of it into this time crunch situation and keep it interesting, keep it engaging, but also tell the real story. The real story, exactly. Like that's a challenge in itself.
Such a challenge. I want to ask you one sports question, and then we'll end. I have like a few more questions I want to ask you, but
I could talk to you for hours.
I know we could. So we'll just keep it going. But one of my favorite stories that you told me, and again, I just think it's so beautiful.
Oh my God, I'm so scared.
No. It's a good one. You know, just you talking about getting that opportunity to when the Chicago Sky won and you got to be on the bus. And I don't want you to tell a story about how you almost died on the bus by the light. Okay, don't want to know about that. But I do want you to tell the story about who stuck up for you and making sure you stayed on that bus. Because I fucking love that story, and I think people need to know it.
Yeah, so being on the bus, it just was like the last thing to do, right? You're covering this entire season. And so I remember having anxiety about it because I was like, great, like I don't want this to sound like I'm disappointed they won, but my emotion, my thought was, this was my exact mental like start to end. I was like, great, they won. Now everyone's gonna want to be at the parade, and like, am I still gonna be able to get an interview with Courtney and James Wade and all these people, or is it gonna be like I get pushed to the back because all these news outlets are there then, and whatever. So I just started thinking like, oh my God, I gotta be aggressive. I gotta like I'm not going to get passed up by anybody.
Right.
This is the last. I gotta do my job better than everybody else. I've been here since the beginning of the season, and nobody's gonna weasel me out. And so the bus, I was hitting up the team PR way in advance before they even won the championship, and to the point where it's like, Annie, like wait until they win it to be asking these questions. But yeah, I was reaching out to the team weeks in advance, and I was like, hey, if they win it, I'd love to be able to document from the bus, like with the team, just to be able to share their vantage point. Like this is going to be monumental, like historic in the city. This is the first WNBA championship and the first basketball championship since Jordan was in town.
Nuts.
Like Chicago is basketball. Chicago is basketball.
We are, yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I get the okay, and that day, they wristbanded everybody up who was going on the bus. And so I was like, oh, I'm not going to have any problem because, I got this wristband. Well, what happened was I got on the bus with Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Diamond DeShields, Azrae Stevens, and Candace Parker. And then also, they had a couple friends and family with them each. And when I got on the bus, there were all these TV crews. And a lot of them didn't have wristbands. And again, they're just doing their job. They're being aggressive. And so I wasn't going to turn my nose up. Like, do what you got to do, bro. But before we left Wintrust Arena, our bus, and again, it's because it had Courtney on it, Allie and Candace and Diamond. And, this was a bus that if you're a journalist, you want to be on. Right. And so the security came on and they were like, this is a problem bus. There's too many people. And so I was just one person. I had my notebook, my little notebook and my bag with my laptop in it in case anything happened. And you got to file a story right there. Right. But I just kind of dipped into the back. I was like, let me try and blend in here. And no one was getting off. None of the TV crews were getting off. And so we're sitting there for like 5 minutes and none of them are getting off. And then I finally, because you're on a bus with these champions who just won and their family, like, I'm not going to be the reason we sit here for 20 more minutes before somebody gets off the bus. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, I'll go, and I looked at all the reporters. I'm like, this is we can't all be on here. I'm like, somebody's got to get off. I'm like, I'll get off the bus. And Candace Parker stood up and was like, it was so funny. I don't even know if she would even remember the way this happened, but it's just something you don't forget. She stood up and she pointed at me in my eyes and she's like, you sit down. You've been here since day one. You're not going anywhere. And then she like paused and looked at everybody else. I don't even know if she said anything to everybody else, but when she said that, a couple other people were like, okay, I'll get off. And again, like, it's no shade to everybody else that was there doing their job. But in that moment, it was helpful to have, the mayor of Chicago. I'm going to call her, she's not the mayor of Chicago.
No, but she did that.
The general of Chicago would be like, okay, you can't leave. Everybody else has to, or whoever else has to leave, but you're not going to leave. Because she just helped me do my job. And that's not to say like, oh my God, Candace is throwing me lobs every day for me to get my job done. But when you show up and you respect people and you treat people with respect and you do a good job, other people will treat you the same way. Yeah. And so that wasn't like Candace, doing me any solid that she wouldn't do someone else who had done the same thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just think that, that was such a funny day. The Courtney Vandersloot saving my life too. Like, I don't even know if she'd remember that. But again, there was a lot of alcohol being consumed on the bus. I, of course, wasn't. So, but yeah, that day was wild. That day was just a super wild day. Yeah. And just a moment in your career you never forget.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. I love that story because I was like, that's one of those, like, as a, in the sports world, like, you want that moment with that. Not that you crave those, but to me, to me, it's a total nod of respect to you. And I think it says so much about you of like showing up is half the battle. It's more than half the battle.
It's like we started this conversation with you asked me like, what do we do? It's like, just show up. There's not some secret, concoction that creates equality in sports. It's just show up. Just literally show up. Yeah. Just show up. Yeah. Just show up.
Okay, we're going to end with some ridiculous, random, rapid-fire questions,
God,
okay?
I'm so scared.
Oh, my God, it's so much fun. Okay. What is your drink of choice?
Tequila.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
what kind of tequila? Tequila or just tequila?
Just tequila. And the reason is, I know this is rapid fire, but I got to give a shout out to the woman who made me who I am. And that's my grandma and my mom. Sorry, Mom. Yes. But my grandma, right before I went to college, she was like, Annie, if when you're out and you're drinking, like, think about drinking tequila because it comes with, you know, a lime, and it's you can get just one shot. And she was giving me all these reasons that included, like, you don't have to worry about someone, you know, drugging your drink, because if you're just doing a shot of tequila, like, it helps. And then she also recommended gin and tonics. So tequila and gin and tonics are my thing because of Margaret Loftus.
Love Margaret. That is the vibe. What is the best piece of advice someone is giving you?
The best piece of advice, and this again comes from my grandma, and that is just to not dim your light for anybody else, and not to be afraid of going completely left when everybody else is going right.
I like your grandma.
She was amazing.
Yeah. What's your favorite holiday?
What? I'm not being very rapid fire about this.
It's okay.
Bro, what?
It's okay.
Oh my God. I don't even know. I sound like the Grinch, but I guess Valentine's Day?
Really?
I don't have a favorite holiday. And
Okay.
can I be kind of cynical here?
Yeah.
Sorry, people are going to really hate me for this. But a lot of holidays are totally commercialized.
Oh, they're 100%.
For all the wrong reasons. And if you get to the history of the holidays we're celebrating, you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to celebrate this holiday ever again.
Yeah.
So I've become a bit of a Grinch, but I guess, so Valentine's Day was maybe not the truth. I guess what I'll say is Christmas. And because if you could celebrate Christmas without the gifts and without the Americanized, like, hoopla of it all.
Yeah.
It's about being around people you love,
Yeah.
and you want to be around. And so I think, Christmas would be my real answer.
Okay.
And I'm sorry for being cynical.
You're totally fine. Do not worry. What's the kindest thing a stranger has done for you?
Oh my God. I'm not very rapid fire about this.
Sometimes these questions take people aback, so it's all good.
I was having I'm just gonna, I feel the need to just be real. It might not be the kindest thing, but it's the one that's coming, like, to the forefront of my mind right now. I was having a shit day. Like, one of those days you're walking down the street and you just are crying, or on the verge of crying. And I had my headphones in, head down. I had, like, my dad's oversized, like, long jacket on. You couldn't even see anything about me other than I looked probably like a sad person. And this person stopped me and was like, "You are so beautiful." And I was like, and it wasn't even like some creepy,
Like a creepy way of someone hitting on you.
Yeah, of like a woman being ogled, when it's like, we don't want to be ogled. You know, we're beings outside of our beauty. It just was like a moment where I don't know if they saw someone who needed a pick me up. I don't know, but I remember, like, looking up, and I was like, it all happened in slow motion. It just took me out of whatever funk I was in that moment, because I was like, that is just so kind.
Yeah.
And from that day, I've thought about doing this more, and I do it actively, is like, when you're out and you give someone a genuine compliment, it makes you feel good. Like, don't be out and be like, "Oh, nice hair, nice earrings," or whatever.
Don't Regina George
Yeah,
me, like,
no.
"Oh my God, I love your bracelet. Where'd you get it?" Like,
but when you really see someone and you tell them how you really feel, there's so much power to that.
Yeah. And
So-
people remember those things.
Yeah.
Okay. I love asking Chicago people this question. It's like one of my favorite questions to ask people. Don't be scared. We always got a guy. We got a guy for everything. What's your craziest Chicago? I got a guy. Like, not the name of the person, but like what this person does. And my example, to get maybe your brain kind of going a little bit, is I have a meat guy. He comes to my parents' house, chops the meat, labels it, puts it straight into the fridge. Since doing this podcast, I now have a bacon guy. Shout out Charlie. Thank you. I have Charlie, the bacon guy. I have a foot detox guy. And I have an Amazon Fire Stick jailbreaking guy. So before, you had to like buy every streaming platform, like he could break it for me and I could watch like pirated movies. Please no one arrest me. But those are my guys. I have
All
a lot
of those guys who just like
Yeah, guys and girls, but like it's like, you know, it's like Chicago guy. Like it sounds.
Someone who just.
We all got a ticket guy. We all got this kind of guy. But like, what's your craziest guy?
Oh my God. Okay, my craziest guy is this like car guy. I'm so inept with cars, so like this just shows you. But I just recently got a new car, but before I got this new car, I had this junk beater, like had it forever, drove it to Mississippi and back. It needed repairs every fucking other day.
Yeah.
And so what are like a mechanic.
Well, you had a mechanic guy.
Yeah, I had a mechanic guy. And it's like he would see me come into the shop and I think feel so fucking bad that I was in the shop again. He'd be like...
He's like, Annie.
It wasn't like he was just throwing me bones and like giving me discounts, but he was like, for sure, oh, all we did was fix this. And I know that he was like tying bows and like gumming shit together with rubber bands and gum and doing... like all these things to just get me another week of life on the car. And so I had a mechanic guy, and I actually think about him often because I'm like, how's he doing? I wonder if he thinks I died. Like, I don't know. I feel like I should probably go in and like say hello and like thank you for all you did.
Yeah, just let him know, like, you know,
100%.
things, you know, things are still good.
Things are good. I just got a new car.
Yes, you got a new car, and if hopefully you don't have to come in as much.
No,
hopefully
I haven't been in at all.
Good.
Like,
oh, that's
God
even
bless.
better. Good. Okay. Who should my next guest be?
Ooh, like a Chicago person?
I like Chicago people, but no one's off the table.
Okay.
But I feel my Chicago people, you know?
I think your next guest should be, and I'm going to say this person even though I want her before you get her, Courtney Vandersloot.
Okay.
I think you should for sure have Courtney Vandersloot. And if you could get Courtney Vandersloot before I get Courtney Vandersloot, I'm going to be salty.
I will. If I can make it happen, I will connect it to make sure that you can make it happen. Okay.
But Courtney Vandersloot, I think you should absolutely have.
I love that. Okay, beautiful. Fill in the blank. Your day isn't complete without what?
My day is not complete without, this is new, but meditation.
Amen.
I need it. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with a lot of like different shit right now, and meditating has really made a difference.
Yeah.
So
I love meditating.
That's like
so
a
beautiful.
very new thing, but I'm committed to continuing to meditate every day.
It's a new practice, and you'll keep getting better and better at it as
100%, and it makes a difference.
Yeah. Amen. Okay. Who? I guess you kind of already answered this question. Who would you love to interview one day?
Well, I mean, I've interviewed her a lot,
right?
But so I think if I had to do like a
feature, if you got to do like a really cool feature story on someone, who would you like that feature to be on?
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. Gosh, it's just so hard because I'm like thinking about this story that I want to do right now. I'm not going to say Courtney Vandersloot. She's a great interview. And I've interviewed her a bunch of times. So if I couldn't say her, I would say, I don't know. There's just so many.
Okay, how about this? Think about that, and we'll come back to that.
Okay, we got to come back to that because I need to muster on that for a fucking moment.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to ask it, and I want it to be the first thing that comes to your mind. So like it has to be like a word vomit thought. Okay. So again,
guys, can you tell I'm not good at this? Like I'm not good at word vomit. I overthink everything.
Just like again that little voice that talks to you. Okay.
Eyes closed, little voice.
Okay. What is your next big dream?
Oh my God. Okay, the thing that immediately came to my mind is writing a book.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. What would it be about?
I think about women and obstacles, hurdles that we overcome, that we've had to overcome, just again to reach even the level field that men start on, or the just to reach the starting line.
Yeah.
And I consider myself lucky. I was raised by two single women, my mom and my grandma, and I got to see every single day all that they overcame to be successful, and also just to find themselves. Like they made so many sacrifices for us, to that included themselves, like their identity and everything, and men don't deal with that. Men don't have to sell their soul to
It's not
to exist in this world, and women do.
Yeah, it's not a thought. It's not even a subconscious thought.
Right.
It is the forefront of the thought.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it would be about women.
New York Times best-selling author Annie Costabile. I'm fucking putting that shit out there.
Oh my God. Okay, and I have to say, the person I would interview would be I've already interviewed her, but someone oh my God, I would just love to get to the root of who they are, is Diana Taurasi. Like, I just think
There's something.
yeah, that is a truly remarkable human being. So I would I would love to get a deep dive, get 30 minutes of her time.
I think you can. All right, and then last question, fill in the blank. Annie Costabile is what?
Annie Costabile is emotional. She's a feeler. She overthinks everything. She's a lot. And that's perfectly fine.
And that, my darling, is your superpower. Cheers to that, and cheers to showing up.
This is amazing. Girl.
I said this before the conversation with Annie, and I just want to highlight it again for those of you that are either listening or watching, and that's the importance of showing up. Guys, I think that's half the battle sometimes. It's showing up not only for women in sports, which was kind of the conversation that we had, but for the people that you care about as well. You just need to show up. And with that being said, I feel like here's a tip for you, is that half the battle is showing up. Words are one thing, but actions speak volumes. So show up for those that matter in your life. They will remember when you did, and they will remember when you did not. All right, guys, that is all I have for you today. Thank you for hanging out with me and giving me your time. I hope you all enjoy this lovely day. I hope you guys have great plans ahead. I hope that you are seeing the day as the glass being half full, because the glass is always half full. Okay. And lastly, I hope you all take the time to realize that we have way more in common with each other than we have different. Until next time, take care.
Hey everybody, it's closing time. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.